to the Untold Facts. Today, we're diving into something that sounds like it was ripped straight from a Hollywood script, but it's not. We're breaking down the moment the United States captured a sitting president and then announced it would, quote, run the country. So let's get right into it. Just imagine for a second. You wake up, you check the news, and you read that one country has decided to literally run another. Not as an ally, not as some kind of partner, but to take direct control. And this time, it's the United States, and the country is Venezuela. Look, this isn't some made-up plot. These are the exact words from a US president spoken just hours after a jaw-dropping military operation. Yeah, this actually happened. So that leaves us with two absolutely massive questions. How on earth did this happen? And maybe more importantly, what does this mean for the rest of the world? Okay, so to get this, you have to understand the crisis that set the stage. We're talking empty shelves, a completely collapsing economy, constant power cuts, millions of people literally fleeing their own homes. Now this chaos, it didn't start yesterday. It's been building for years. But what happened next? Well, that shocked even America's closest allies. You see, this wasn't some snap decision. This was a slow burn. The timeline here shows the pressure just building and building for months. It starts with a multi-million-dollar bounty on President Maduro's head, then a direct ultimatum, and then US forces secretly getting ready for action. And the final move? A swift, large-scale strike. So let's talk about the operation itself. This wasn't just a strike. This was a meticulously planned surgical operation aimed right at the heart of Venezuelan power. The sheer force they used was, well, it was overwhelming. We're talking about the US Army's most elite unit, Delta Force. Over 150 aircraft, including the most advanced fighter jets in the world. And the target? Fort Tijuana, one of Venezuela's most secure military bases. The result? President Maduro and his wife were captured and flown right out of the country. And the White House says it was all done without a single American casualty. This quote, it really tells you everything you need to know about the mindset here. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs said his forces rehearsed for months, even using a replica of the building. Think about that. The goal wasn't just to get it right, it was to make sure they could not get it wrong. But capturing Maduro was just the first shock. The second came right after, with that declaration that the US would now run Venezuela. And that sent this ripple of confusion and, frankly, alarm all across the globe. I mean, what does run a country even mean? Does that mean military rule? Are they installing a puppet government? Is this a total long-term occupation? Just the ambiguity of that phrase sent shockwaves. So you have these two completely different stories being told. On one side, the US is claiming this is all just a temporary thing for stability. But on the other, critics are calling it reckless, warning that it tramples all over international law and could drag America into another endless war. And this is where things get legally explosive. Let's get into the global and legal fallout, because this move didn't just challenge a regime, it challenged the very rules of how the world is supposed to work. At the very heart of all the backlash is one simple idea: sovereignty. It's the core principle of international law, the idea that a nation governs itself without outsiders interfering. The US action didn't just bend this rule, it basically shattered it. And the global reaction was just fractured. The UN was deeply alarmed. China condemned it as an act of dominance. But America's usual allies, they were a lot more hesitant. The UK basically said it wouldn't shed any tears for Maduro, while Germany just called the whole legal situation complex. The world could not agree. And that division raises a really terrifying question. If this becomes normal, is any country truly safe? Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. But that leaves the biggest question of all. Why? Why this country, and why right now? So what is the real reason for this completely unprecedented move? Beyond all the official justifications, what's the core strategic interest really at play here? The answer, in one word, is oil. Because Venezuela isn't just a struggling nation. It is sitting on top of the largest proven oil reserves on the entire planet. And to put that into perspective for you, we're talking about an estimated 303 billion barrels of oil. That's more than Saudi Arabia, more than any other nation on Earth. And look, this isn't just some theory. The president himself made the connection crystal clear, saying US oil companies would go in and rebuild the badly broken infrastructure. The motive was never really hidden. It was right there, out in the open. Which makes you wonder, is this about helping a nation, or is it about reshaping global power? So, this brings us to the final critical question. What happens next? Because with a nation's entire fate hanging in the balance, the path forward is anything but clear. There are really three ways this could go. Best case, a smooth transition to a stable elected government. The worst case, widespread resistance, chaos, and a long, costly US occupation. But the most likely scenario, a long, messy period of deep uncertainty. And no matter which path it takes, it's the ordinary Venezuelan people who will pay the price first. In the end, only history will be the judge. Was this some kind of rescue mission, or was it the start of something far, far more dangerous? Because the real story here is so much deeper than just one country or one leader. The scariest part? This single act may have just changed the rules for how global power is used forever. If you value facts over all the noise, subscribe to the Untold Facts, because the real story is always deeper than the headline.